What's up? It's Ed here from Geek, back with another Google Ads Agency Roundtable, and I am with Nick, Mark, and Dustin. What's up, fellas?
How's it going, man?
Good.
All right. Since I'm brain dead right now and I can't even remember what we just talked about 19 seconds ago, Mark, what was the topic we're going to talk about today?
The topic that we were going to discuss today is the factors that lead to a successful Google Ads campaign, as well as perhaps we'll wrap up with how to define success for a Google Ads campaign.
All right.
Very professionally done there. That was great.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Do you like that? Radio voice and everything?
We got a
I'm
future in this
telling
one. I like it. So we might as well start with you. Mark, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I'm going to talk mostly, I think about this from the perspective of lead generation. So not so much from the perspective of e-commerce, though it would apply, most of this would apply, I think. I also think of it in terms of services, very short funnels, as opposed to something that might need to, you would need to warm somebody up and then you need to do a drip campaign. Maybe if you're selling them a financial product or something like that, or you're selling a course. I'm thinking more along the lines of services, but I think all these things still apply. It's just that it works. It's more guaranteed to work because the Google Ads campaign is much more a part of the impact on the success. Whereas if you have a long lead item or you have to build a funnel, that whole funnel has to be successful. You're really just dumping people in with the Google Ads campaign at the top of the funnel and hoping, you know, the rest of your assets are good enough to bring them out at the bottom. Does that make any sense at all?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's cool.
So I always look at it as people ask me, if will Google Ads work for this? And I'd start with, you know, is it a service that people need and want to pay for? And is there search volume for it? And that's where we typically start with, does it even make sense to do that? That's how we look at the fast launch PPC niches that we have. Is there a reasonable chance that the average person can be successful running this campaign? Not the average, that the average client will see success, not that they could run the campaign, because they can't, as we've learned.
Are there actually people in the market searching for what it is that you do and not some invention that you've made up that you've got to basically go out and define the market for? Exactly.
And then the other thing we really look at is, do you want some unicorn client? We're a plumber, but we only want this $15,000, you know, job that comes in 3 times a year.
What's an example of that in the roofing space we always talk about?
Oh, for me, the best one is like, I want commercial roofs over 10,000 square feet. They're, you know, 25 years old and are rubber.
Oh, that's super simple.
That's
Let me
what
get
a lot of
that.
people search for. Yeah.
Another one we talk about is the only roof replacements, roof installations, no repair work.
Yes,
You know,
that's the
majority-
basic one right there.
Yep.
I only want insurance leads
Mm-hmm.
where they have insurance and they have roof damage and are ready to replace. So you want customers. You just want me to hand you sealed deals, basically. I call them unicorns. That's what you might get, some of those.
Yeah.
But if your aim is to go after them, and my experience with clients is they will say, whether it's agencies or direct clients, they'll be like, we know we're only going to get 1 or 2 or 3 leads a month, but that's enough to keep us, you know. It never is. A week later, they're like, how come I'm not getting any leads?
Yep.
Like, because we told you wouldn't get any leads. So we just don't play that. We'll go after the unicorns, but we have to have a lot of just regular old, you know, livestock in there, regular clients in there.
Yep. Yeah, we have the same thing in the junk removal space. Guys will say they want larger jobs, they want clean out, hoarding clean out, office clean out. And I try to push against that. The majority of the search volume is going to come from 3 ad groups that have the word junk removal in them.
Mhm.
And you might get 10 impressions a month on a hoarding cleanout. And the reality is it's few and far between. That's an SEO play and a video play, not a Google Ads play. So we deal with that a lot. Dustin, what do you got in terms of Mark's question?
I mean, I think when it comes to, I mean, what's the best way? So you hit on 2 questions. Which one are we talking about? How to define success or what what ways to get
Factors
success.
that lead, the factors that lead to a successful Google Ads campaign.
Gotcha. I think having a clear, I mean, first of all, traffic quality, like you mentioned, is there search volume around it? Yes. But then I think also like looking at bottom of funnel versus like research related keywords, that's a big one. Because you've got people who are ready to do something right now. You got people who are ready to do something, you know, maybe in a month from now, 2 months from now, and they search very differently sometimes. So I think one factor is knowing what level of funnel you're targeting with your keywords, and also, you know, obviously having a good setup, having a good landing page that will convert. If we're talking about e-commerce, then obviously a product that people actually want to buy or that you've sold before. I think realistic expectations, like knowing if we're talking about just getting leads and cost per lead, then that's usually a pretty quick, what's the word I'm thinking of? You'll get to know what your cost per lead is pretty quickly. But if you're looking at, like you said, Mark, like a longer funnel and you're really judging it based on sales, then you need to give yourself and your PPC agency enough time to actually see like a full sales cycle through, or maybe a couple of them, right? Because it takes 2 weeks to close a deal and you're complaining in a week that the leads haven't bought yet. Well, you know, give yourself a little time here. Like let's build some good expectations around how this thing would work. So I feel like those are some of the biggest factors. And sometimes, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but sometimes a successful campaign is such a subjective thing, you know, and the things you need to do to make that campaign successful, like the same type of campaign for the same type of business, it gets looked at 2 different ways by 2 different types of clients, right? Because some understand things a little better than others. So I think one part of it is like explaining to them how this thing should play out, what they can reasonably expect, and making sure you have good assets, you have a good landing page, you have hopefully even maybe an offer, a decent offer that people want. And then of course, like target as low down the funnel as you can in the beginning, and then work your way up over time if you need volume. And I think that's another part of it. It's like the expectation on volume. You mentioned the order cleanup. We run ads for order cleanup too. There's not that many orders that want to clean up. I mean, it's just the whole point of being a hoarder, kind of, right? I mean, that's sort of the thing. So, and of course, their family members will probably Google it for them or whatever. But like, if you're like, well, you know, we got those 5 leads that we could get out of hoarder or whatever it is, we need more. Okay, well, now you look at different keywords, a different strategy, maybe a different landing page. You have to think about what step of the funnel they're going to be in. So I just think a lot of it comes down to the planning. I think a lot of it comes down to having good, you know, a good process for what you're going to do for conversion, which is a landing page, of course, messaging, and having an offer. I think that just takes you a lot further than, you know, trying to, I don't know, like, to me, I feel like it's a lot more on the higher level side. The tactical side is, if you have the right offer and the right like messaging and stuff, like you can make a lot of mistakes on the traffic side, it could still work. But if you have it the other way and you got a crappy offer and you don't have anything that's really compelling, then you could be as ninja with the traffic as you want. It's still not going to convert. So I think that's just a differential to kind of put out there for people.
Cool. Nick, what about you?
Yeah, so factors that lead to a successful Google Ads campaign, it really starts at the onboarding level, right? So it's communication. You know, don't let if I'm talking to, so let's say right now I'm talking to Google Ads agencies, do not let the client buffalo you into agreeing to stuff that you know is not lead, like just isn't going to work, right? You know, hoarder campaign. Okay, we can put that on there. We'll run that campaign. I'll even separate it out so you can see how much traffic does or doesn't come in there. But you need to temper your expectations for how many of those clicks you're going to get, sort of thing. So it's just, and this is for any campaign that you run, is, you know, like both the guys have already said, is there traffic for it? Is it valid? Did you invest? You know, I mean, you can run a Chick-fil-A campaign if you'd like, but
Traffic
yeah,
for that for sure.
The communication with the client is big, because, you know, we'll have clients that come in, and a big thing for us is, you know, back when we first started doing this, I'd have clients come in and be like, well, I just want $1 million listings.
Oh
I
yeah.
only want $1 million properties. I said, perfect. Is there a country club close? Yep. Join that. Or I can burn your cash trying to get you those leads. But if you're good at what you do, you can just go and be a member at that country club. You're going to meet those people that are buying those homes. Now that's adjusted a little bit, right? Now there are a lot more people looking for homes than $1 million valuation in the last 14 years. And you can pick those up there, but they're unicorns, like we talked about, right? Like we've had some really, really large sales that we've been able to track back to us that have happened, but they don't happen often. And it's not a keyword set that we really go after, right? Luxury properties. So we usually set the client's expectations that we will run this traffic for you. We'll try to get this traffic, but we'll also show you that you cannot run your business off of just that. So I think that big factors on what makes it, how do you get a successful campaign, is starting out with good communication between you and the client, making sure that the expectations are achievable. And that's not, I mean, I think like how you make a successful campaign is also them being honest, making sure that that person is going to follow up on that lead. They know what their numbers are. Like if a client doesn't know their numbers and they're just coming to you and saying, I've got 3 months to make this work, here's my credit card, we usually like, yep, no, we're not going to do that, right? Because if they're banking their entire business existence off of you making them money, then it's a failure out of the gate. It'll never work. And if you do make that work, which we've done that before, then they come back and ask you to create the miracle number 2, right? Like, now I want you to double this with maybe a third more money. It doesn't happen that way, right? So yeah, communication is 100% the first basis, the first pillar of success, I think.
Nice. Okay. So my take on the factors that lead to a successful Google ad campaign, I'm going to take a little bit of a contrarian approach here and say that if the client can sell, they're going to do better. They're going to do better than someone that can't sell, even with a better campaign. So a client that can sell with an okay campaign is going to do better than a client with an excellent campaign that can't sell. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If they've got good qualifying and good appointment setting and good sales systems and good follow-up, they're going to win 9 times out of 10. Even if they just start documenting their sales process, documenting the things they're saying over and over again, it makes it so much easier for them, because Debbie at the front desk can start, they call it cloning the ace. She can start using the same language that your best salesperson is using. Anyone that does that is far better off than someone that doesn't. And I'd say that's probably the biggest factor on whether a campaign is going to win or not. Like, we have guys that'll leave and they're at a 50 or 60% conversion rate. And you're like, that makes 0 sense. But you just got to come to the harsh reality that is that our job is only to bring the horse to water. It's not to make it drink. And from a lead gen perspective, from a e-com perspective, their sales abilities are going to be copywriting on the actual sales page itself, and their ability to convert that traffic at a higher level.
Pricing, shipping.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yep. And the offer is, as Dustin said earlier. So I'd say that is the biggest thing before we even get to the actual build out. And then once we go to the build out, it's the Google Ads magic formula. It's the right keywords, right ad copy, right landing page, what you guys have all spoken about separately. So yeah, my biggest thing is, can they sell? Do they have systems in place to capture leads, nurture leads, qualify leads, and close deals? So,
I want to follow up on what you just said there, Ed, and throw just a couple more thoughts on what you should start out with. I was looking at a transcript of a call for a routine service that every town has and offers, and someone called and they're like, I wanted to get a price on this. I really can't give you a price. I'm like, well, you're kind of screwed right there, aren't you? As far as like your sales process, if someone calls you for what you do and your first response is, I can't really give you a price, that's probably not going to result in a successful, close, right. At least from my limited sales perspective. So yeah, this actually being able to sell will overcome a lot of stuff, and not being able to sell will also affect the outcome of your campaign. Knowing your numbers from end to end, and we only try to get people to mark or share with us what they quoted and what they sold. We don't need to know profitability or anything like that. Even just getting those numbers is difficult. The one thing that I wanted to throw out there is, if you're one thing that leads to success, and it falls in line with intent-based keywords and solid offer and stuff, but is having an actual methodology for how you build out your campaign. And it doesn't have to be my methodology, because everyone varies a little bit, but have a methodology that and is not Google leading you through the process of building the campaign. So for anyone that's like, okay, well, I've got my new Google account, I'm going to follow through this questionnaire and I'm going to come out with a successful campaign. You're likely not going to come out with a successful campaign, even
Yeah.
if your account is 100% optimized,
Yeah.
according to Google.
What do you call
Yeah,
it again?
Google tax.
No, not Google. No, what do you call it, Mark? The supercharged? What do you call it?
Yeah.
What's
The word for people that do follow the Google.
No, you named it something. You were saying not Google optimized, not supercharged. I'm having a brain fart.
Upgraded.
Upgraded.
Upgraded. Yes.
I love that. Going with the upgrade. I love it.
Yeah.
I think also, guys, a factor too is like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I definitely have, is like new businesses versus businesses that have actually done sales. Like, I don't mean sales on the phone. I mean, like, they've got a business that's been running before you came in the picture. And you kind of mentioned that a little bit, Nick, as well, like the 3-month thing. But like setting expectations for that is like, look, you might be 3 to 6 months to learn that you can't use Google Ads, right? Like after you've iterated and after you've tried and after you've done this, like the campaign could be just fine. But again, your product's not so great, or you don't know if you have a product market fit yet. You don't know if your pricing is whatever. You don't know if you're going to get knocked off by somebody selling a product from China, in 3 weeks flat, if you really hit it hard. I mean, what channels work better and all that. So I feel like that's a huge part of it too, is just knowing, like, learning what your business numbers are to know, can you even run a successful campaign? And a lot of people don't understand that, because they kind of get sold on this, oh yeah, turn on your ads, you have money coming in right away. And sometimes you do. I mean, that's great, but very rare. I mean, it's usually like a 10% of the time is when it's like, wow, this thing just hit, and it's great. But I think that's a huge part of it, is just making sure you've got a product that's sold, or a business that's run before, and you're not trying to build it in the air, which I think we all kind of do that to a degree in life, but you can't expect it to run as well as a business that's done that before. And then you're competing against businesses that have probably done that before and have been doing it for a lot longer than somebody in that position. So, you're going to end up having to pay your dues too. You don't just walk into Google and be like, all right, Google, here's my $1,000 budget, and you're going to de-seat people who've been spending, 5-10 grand a month for the last 10 years. Yeah, you think Google's just going to give you all that traffic, right? You just shoot up with your $100 a day budget or whatever it is. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So it's another factor to consider.
Dustin,
how long have you been doing this?
Dustin, to throw something on what you just said there, I thought you made a great point, is you also don't know your competitor's sales conversion ratio, just from a lead gen perspective. You don't know their sales conversion ratio. So it's working for my competitor, it's not working for me. You don't know what their sales conversion ratio is, and you don't know what their back-end systems look like in terms of follow-up, getting repeat purchases, getting referral business. Are they doing radius marketing on the back end with direct mail? So like some of the companies doing it really well, Google Ads is just tip of the spear, and they're making all of their money on the back end. And that also goes for e-commerce as well. There's lots of different ways you can scale things that people look at this as just a surface level event. And the reality is money is always on the back end. And if they can market on the back end, if they can get referred clients on the back end, it starts to spider web. And from a service business perspective, Mark, we've talked about doing radius marketing for a client you land within a market, so that you build some route density, whatever you call it. These are all things that people are not taking into account. They're just looking surface level. Hey, I didn't make money with Google Ads. It's like, okay, what have you done on the back end to get referrals, to create some awareness? Like, hey, you're doing a junk removal pickup on the street. Did you go knock on a few doors to see if there's anything else you could pick up along the way to further, drive value for that particular stop for that load? So there's lots that go into it. I don't know. I'm a believer in trying to take a consultative approach to this and not just straight up Google Ads. Now, we don't charge for it, but it's something I think not enough agencies are really thinking about. I know, Nick, you think about that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And Dustin, you guys think about that stuff, but I don't think enough agencies are.
Mark does. Just kidding. I don't think Mark does. I left him out.
I said Mark, Dustin. I thought I said Mark.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
No, I don't care. I don't care about any of that consultative stuff. I did want to mention to Nick, though, that a guy did ask me if I'd run a Chick-fil-A campaign for him. I said, my pleasure.
It'd be my pleasure. Good Sandro.
Awesome.
Yeah, make sure you turn it off on Sundays though.
Yeah, I love that place on Sundays. I think the one other thing that I think about is consistency from keyword to ad copy to landing page, which is a little more challenging perhaps with responsive ads. We're counting on Google to create some of that consistency. But the other thing is the landing page. Well, we have a client, we just built some campaigns for them on an hourly basis, and they asked about their landing page. Could this be a factor? And obviously it can be, but in this case, the client's logo and color scheme is red and black. And when you hit that landing page, it's like they just said red would be a great thing everywhere. So just like, okay, I'll show you an example of how we deal with that. You might want a little more white space, you just don't want to hit the customer with a whole face full of red as soon as they hit the landing page. Yeah. Just from a purely, human psychological point of view. And then the landing page in general is a huge factor. If you just have a crappy landing page, and I don't mean a crappy looking landing page because they can convert, but if your landing page if you're getting good traffic to the landing page and it's not converting, there's something else going on there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think one of the ways we look at this too, and I've been working on amplify this like for my team, because there's like a million different metrics you can look at in a Google Ads campaign, and they're all valuable to a degree. But I think there's also like core things you should like buckets of issues or whatever. And usually the first one is the traffic clean? Is it good, right? Like is the traffic what we're expecting? And if the answer to that is yes, and you're still not getting conversions, and it's either going to be the page or the offer, right? It's always one of those things, barring some kind of weird tracking issue or, like something like that, right? It's almost always that, because if you're getting your ideal person that's searching on the keyword you wanted to, they're clicking on the ads, they got to your page, we know we have some kind of an issue with that offer or that page or the messaging or whatever it is, right? Or there could be some mixed intent. And that would go back to the traffic not being completely clean, but that might be an indication of it. And I think a lot of people are always trying to solve, well, I don't say a lot of people are always doing this, but a lot of people try to solve for a conversion problem with traffic. And you can try to do that. It doesn't mean you don't, get a little picky with your traffic when you have enough of it available. But like we just had a guy who's getting like sub 50 cents clicks, but they're not hitting the ROAS. This is e-commerce. They're not getting the ROAS that they want. And I'm like, well, we're not gonna get the traffic much cheaper than that. I mean, it's on point. I mean, so it's almost a situation where if you want this thing to work, you're going to have to invest some time and some effort into increasing your conversion rate or increase your average order value. This is e-commerce. So it's, you've got those couple options there. Or you can look at it a different way. Like instead of looking at the ROAS on this one sale, look at the lifetime value over 3 or 6 months. Okay, do they buy more than once? Okay, fine. Then factor in the fact that you're acquiring a customer, and that's a good CPA and not so much ROAS. So again, there's issues that I find where, like, if you don't know any better, you're gonna get stuck down a hole of, well, how can we get this cheaper because I don't make enough money on the traffic? Well, you have to increase what traffic is worth to you, which is kind of what you were saying, Ed, like the back end. It's not always on that first front end sale. And a lot of times, like, if you guys have ever bought anything, I know for me, I don't make my big purchase the first time I deal with the company. You're going to like see how they did with the little one first. And then when they're done with that, you're like, okay, thanks for painting my room. Hey, do you guys remodel kitchens or something like that, right? You don't just hire them for that job. I mean, again, you might have to, but you get the idea. It's like kind of put your toe in the water a bit. And that's what you're winning, is you're winning that customer. And now you can upsell them, you can resell them, you can do all that. And people sometimes look at it from, trying to get a big home run every single conversion, right? Every single time. And even on like the lead gen side, you get a job that's, a roof repair. Oh, great. I didn't want a roof repair. Okay. But in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, they just need to replace the roof because that repair ain't going to hold, and they trust you now, right? So now you get that roof replacement. That's just the way the world works. And people don't sometimes appreciate or understand that. And then, we try to fix that with a traffic problem. Okay, we want these unicorns. Well, people don't search with, I need a new roof because I'm a unicorn. They don't search that way. They type in roof replacement or roofing companies, Fort Lauderdale, or whatever it is. They're not self-identifying with their search a lot of times. And people don't get that. They just think you can, you can just pick them out of a hat. If we could do that, we would not be on this call. We would all be doing that for our own businesses somewhere on the beach, maybe doing a different kind of call. It wouldn't be this. I could say it right now. So
How
rant
rude.
over. I know, but it's true.
It is. Nick, what else you got on the topic?
How we gauge success. Like for us, it's, ours is such a long play. It's, again, it sounds corny. It's communication with the client and asking them what they're seeing on their side. We got away from the lowest lead possible and lowest cost per click possible about 5-6 years ago. And really look towards that end goal. Like, honestly, the way you gauge a successful campaign is ROI. That's the only KPI that matters, right? Whether or not that client wants to give you that, because a lot of them, it's funny, and this is the way the world works, is I would say half of our clients don't want to give us their sales numbers because they're afraid we're going to raise our rates, right? And I would guess that's probably common throughout the world, right? So you're like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, well, we're going to keep running with it for another, they've been clients for 7 years and I've never got the data from one of these guys. I'm like, well, let me tell you what the most successful clients are doing. And I sort of give him the numbers, and you could tell he had his numbers sitting below the folder I couldn't see. He's like, oh, how do you think we could get to there? I'm like, you need to be honest with us of where you're getting your deals. Like, it's just that easy, right? If you tell us where you're getting your deals, we push more traffic to those areas, to those keyword sets, like, and all that is tracked properly. And saying, instead of you chasing a unicorn, let's chase cash, right? Let's chase where you're getting your deals at. And, I think he's going to break sometime sooner than later. He didn't do it yet. He's like, well, I don't know. I think we're making enough money to keep this going. So I would guess he's probably at a 10X on his stuff. But we have to ask our clients, and that's something we didn't do at the beginning. And something you should do is asking them, how's it looking on your side? What's the, what are the deals looking like? What are the conversations like? Are these the conversations you want to have? If you're not asking your clients that, then you're just blindly pushing traffic. Does it turn into a little bit of consultancy? It does, because when we have clients that will tell us our follow-up's amazing. Our follow-up's so good. And then I'll go and register on that site. And 3 hours later, we get a phone call. Hey, were you looking to buy a house? No, I was 3 hours ago when I was on your site. I hate to be a dick, but your follow-up sucks, because they're on your site for 8 to 12 minutes looking at houses. You have an opportunity to have that captive audience, have that conversation, send a text, show them that you care. Like, if your follow-up isn't doing that, then your follow-up has holes. And is it our job or our spot to tell them where that is? It is. I think if you do it up front, if you do it early and say, here's what the top producers make, here's how they do it, and here's what they do right. And when they come back and say, this system isn't working for me, well, are you doing exactly what this top producer is doing? And maybe you need to call one of them and talk to them about it. They'll talk to peers about it. But a successful campaign for us, sure, it's cost per lead's low, traffic's hitting what they want. If the intent is where it needs to be, before we talk to a client, we gauge success that way. If I see the numbers out of whack compared to what we see in those regions, then I don't think the campaign's successful. But honestly, like, if we think we can get $12 a lead somewhere and we're getting 25, and I'm banging on my account managers, like, these numbers suck, dude. These aren't good. And then you talk to the client, they're like, holy shit, we got 3 deals last month. You're like, leads are good.
When you do that, Nick, I have a question. When you tell the account managers that these numbers suck, do they say, no, these numbers don't suck, you suck?
They do after they talk, like, they will. And the good news is they'll say that. They'll be like, well, I talked to Dan on the phone, and Dan said the leads are really good and they've got deals and keep doing what we're doing. And they're happy. They're comfortable with that price point. Right. And then I back the hell off. It's not my job to micromanage. I'm like, all right, carry on, man. Cool. Now I'll still dive into an account from time to time and be like, well, I get that everybody's comfortable with these numbers. We can shave off about 30% if we did this over top of that. So, but yeah, good question. I let my account managers do their job. If they get that communication with the client says, I know that it's a higher price than we thought, but the ROI is way better than we've ever imagined, or we're seeing deals come through, we're good with this, then carry on. By all means, I'm not going to shut something down because I think it's bad.
Right. Brings up the old adage of we are not our clients and we don't actually know their business.
Right. Right. When you're in the niches, like, when we sit in our niches, and in the niche I'm in, I know too much at this point. I wish I knew less about how to run a real estate office, how to manage agents. It's great that we know that. I think my account managers know just about enough, and they get the lingo, like being able to speak the lingo, talk the terms. Those people really, the clients really love that. You can speak shop with them. Now, when I'm sitting and talking to a high level broker and they're telling me their numbers and I'm giving them, well, so-and-so across the country is doing this, and they're able to do it at this level and this efficiency rate. Then all of a sudden I just opened up a can of worms, and now I have to talk to them why those numbers look like that. What do I think they're doing different in their office compared to what this office is doing? And A, I don't get paid for that. And B, I understand it. I just wish I didn't. So it's like, hey, you could cut out a lot of fat if you did this, right? Like there's a lot of agencies that will feed all their, a broker will feed 20 agents and he's got 4 producing agents. And I'm like, give them all the leads, tell the other ones piss off. No, I can't do that. Like, you want to make more money, that's how you do it.
Yeah. I was at a sales management conference from Mike Weinberg, the author of New Sales Simplified and Sales Management Simplified. And one of the big takeaways from that is feed the winners and starve the losers, and spend time with the guys that are winning and make them win more, help them win more, rather than diluting your efforts amongst the people that aren't producing.
Yep. Yeah.
Like a pumpkin plan for humans, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, it's not popular in the environment, in the environment or the society we're in to do that, right? But I mean, we're running a business and they are running a business. Like, and you have to, sometimes you have to do that. It's the unpopular stuff. The reason you make so much money, or you have president or broker or owner or CEO behind your name for that company, is because you have to make some really unpopular moves, right? No different than the Google Ads account. You've got to make some unpopular decisions that may make or break that campaign. If you do it enough, you feel confident in those moves, then you just have to realize you have to understand how to communicate that back to the client, being like, hey, I shut this down because it sucked. And you kept on telling me all your deals were coming from here. Now, if you're okay with turning this back on for that unicorn, what are you willing to invest in that unicorn opportunity? So we would, like what you guys are talking about, the hoarding thing, I would put that in its own campaign entirely. I would pump as much quote money as they wanted into it, show them that it doesn't work. And then every time go back to the well and be like, we still good with dumping money in last 365 days? We're at 2 leads did you close those deals? Like, just kind of poke the bear, right? Like, hey, I'm trying to help you make money here, but that's on you.
I like it.
Not a nice guy. I get it.
We love you, Nick.
Yeah.
You do it in love.
Yeah, it's all in goodwill. It's all,
right.
all to help. Right. It's your sales pushback lines of you suck type things. It's all in good fun, and realistically, it's sharpening of an axe, sharpening of a sword. If they could get better at sales, they could literally double their profits by just
complaining about your Google Ads account isn't going to do you much good if that's not your problem.
Yep. Best emails you'll get is, these numbers suck. That's it. No, nothing else. Right. These numbers suck.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why trying to find out what the client wants is, and we always ask that up front, but you also often don't really find out what the client wants until they start to see numbers. Right. And it often changes when it's kind of like if someone says, that's why I don't do design. First of all, I can't do design. I'm not good at it. But second of all, people want you to design something they haven't given you any feedback on. And then when they see it, then they're like, oh, okay, we'll change this. Now I know what I want. Now I do that with my own poor web guy. I'll be like, let's pop this thing up. But I'm paying him by the hour, not by the project.
We just signed we just signed Rodezi Aaron to build us a new website, and he doesn't know what he's in for yet. I always know what I want it to look like, but I can't verbalize it.
Yeah.
That's
So
why I
it's
literally
good.
won't pay by the project. I just make this poor guy like, make this look like this. Okay, well, now I don't really want it to look like that. I want it to look like this, which is fine if you're doing it that way. But that's like with the Google Ads, we always ask them, what's the definition of a successful campaign? Now we are upfront with our target cost per leads now in our niches and things. We try to be as upfront as possible, saying their estimates in a range, but still trying to give them some idea. But then the guy comes back the other day and he's like, well, I'm wanting 15 leads a day. That's my goal. Well, you have a $50 a day budget, $5.
Right.
This is literally impossible.
Yep.
So, but thanks for clarifying that. Now we'll tell you what you actually need. First of all, it's going to take
you
this
have
budget.
$750 a day to spend. Like, we can do that easily.
Yeah.
Do you have $750 a day? Do you have 9 trucks ready to go? Like, come on.
Exactly. If you have it in the search volumes there, we can just bump the numbers up.
Yep.
But what you just said, and I love it when I hear those expectations, because then you know whether the person's quote unquote crazy, as I call them. Like, do they have crazy goals? They might not be crazy, but they might be, and it's better to find that out from the beginning.
Got to be a little crazy to take risk, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I had this conversation. I had this conversation with my wife a lot, but also I had it with a buddy the other day who is an employee somewhere. And my take was, I think being an employee somewhere is way more risky than being able to have. He's got one client, the employee, and we've got 250 or 500 or 1,000.
Yeah.
So half of them could fire me and I still have a job. And
but we're wired different though, right? Like, we look at that as, God, that's risky. If I go to this place and I work for 20 years and then they fire me, where do I go?
Yeah.
Well, right now it's hard to find a place to go, and you get overpaid too.
Yeah, I can't imagine anymore. First of all, I'm 100% sure I'm unemployable. And my last 2 real jobs did kind of play out that way.
Proved it.
But also, I was explaining to a new person we brought on that we try to go wide. We don't try to go deep. Marketing agencies typically want to go deep. They want that unicorn client that they can put on their website that says, we worked with McDonald's. Well, McDonald's is going to fire you. It's just like being a head coach of a football team.
You're one Happy Meal away from being fired.
Exactly.
Right.
And then half the team has to be marched out the door. I'd much rather go wide than if Joe or Jill or whoever, sorry to use those particular names, it wasn't on purpose. If someone decides to, no longer utilize our services, so be it,
We have one client that is loves to know that he's our highest spender. Like, he's got the biggest budget, and I always sit back with like, yeah, but you're one of 250 and you pay me the same thing everyone else paid you. So really, what's the big
we don't
deal?
make money on your Google Ads spend necessarily.
They freaking
Chop it at the knees.
Right? I'm very important. I'm sure you are.
Oh gosh. Awesome. What else you guys got?
Not much.
Not much. He tapped us, man. He tapped us today.
Sweet. We hadn't recorded one of these in a few weeks, so
I mean, I think the next one we talk about, and maybe we go off recording now, like how to run a business in a recession, because we will be doing that. I'm doing that. Everybody will be doing that soon. I mean,
cool. Yeah, let's make that next week.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be in Dallas next week for the high level event, so I won't be there for that one.
Oh, no,
Let me know how to run a business.
You weren't invited. My fault. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's right.
My bad.
Right.
All right, hang on. I'm gonna dump the recording, but hang on, guys. So see you guys. Need anything? Links below. See ya.